Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Roger with A Whittle Bit of a Time. We are continuing our Crystal Dragon Display series. Here it is where we left off. Today what I'm going to try to do is contour this down a little bit. I'll get this in here, round this up, put some buildings in it, get this out. Hopefully you'll be able to see it okay on what we're doing. I'll have my gloves off and on for this a little bit, and then we will go for there. What I want to try to do is kind of mimic the top of this a little bit by putting a little angle on that, and maybe even on the back side, and see where that goes. So what I'll probably do first is mark in about, we'll spot about halfway. On that, so I know where to taper back to. And probably the easiest way is going to be able to take a chisel. I don't think I've got any sharpened up. I don't know if this one's sharp or not. No, that one's not very sharp. Let me see about these other two I got. That one may work. It's a little beat up. Let me hit it real quick with the strop. The bit's a little messed up right there, but we'll see if we can work around that. It seems to be doing okay. Especially cutting across this end grain like this. You were taking it about halfway back there to the line, maybe a little over, but that's okay. It's all good. Got the same there. Now we'll turn it over and kind of sort of do the same from back here. And we'll call that good enough. Get some gloves on because I want to trim all this down with a knife. Let's see if I pick it up. I'll be in screen here. Yeah, I hope so. noticing I'm pivoting the knife off that left thumb. I'm not just taking and trying to rake it, because when you take it and rake it, that's when it's going to slip, and you will ultimately have a digit on the other side. And guess what's right where the knife blade's going to go? It's harder to cut the grain this way. Wood has a grain. This grain is running vertically, and it looks like it curves up this way. So depending on where you're at with the grain of wood, it may make it harder or easier to carve. Because coming down against the grain is usually pretty hard. You got to have a really sharp knife to come against the grain like that. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Even on the end grains, it's easier if you come straight across or up it like this. And all I'm doing is I'm cleaning this up to clean the rough saw marks off. You can definitely see a big difference there, how much smoother that is. And you can tell how much better that looks. Now the hard part is going to be getting down in between here. I still see a little bit of saw marks up through here. Get those off. Coming straight down like this, just kind of splitting the wood, and it wants to follow the wood the other way. So we're going to come up at it this way. Or actually, let me get up here and come across it. A little bit. Now I've got to get a small chisel down in here. This one's not a flat one, but it's narrow enough. Doesn't feel like I can get enough of an angle in there. This is a little bitty small flat one. We'll see what it does. That's not going to work. All that wants to do is just dig into the wood. Let me try this one. It's got a little bit more of a bite to it. Yeah, it may work a little bit better. A little bit more rounder. It's a higher number than the first one I picked up that was a similar width. And you can see that's cleaner down in there. I'm just standing this up so I can see what I'm doing down in there because I had no light. And you have to be careful because it will chip out the end grain. So usually anytime you're carving, you're going to want to cut the sharp corners off. Just a little bit. Doesn't take much. Sorry, you can hear the dogs playing inside the house. Got my other two dogs out here with me. And I'm sure they're going to start barking in a minute. Yeah, going that way isn't working too good. Let's see if I've got a paintbrush handy so I can explain grain real quick. I don't have a paintbrush, I've got a scrub brush. But anyhow, the grains of the wood, think of them like a bundle of straws. And much like the bristles on here, if you're cutting across the grain, it means you're cutting like this. So if that grain is angled like that and you're cutting this way and you want to get just the top half off, see that how that passes nicely. If it's angled the other way, or even if it's angled this way, you want to come down across it, because if you come back up across it this way, the grain wants to pull the knife in and bind. So you always want to cut, it's called cutting with the grain. If you cut against the grain, it tends to bind up. You get a feel for it. But anyhow, that's the basic principle of cutting with the grain. Get my knives back, my gloves back on. One thing I didn't do, I wanted to cut the back of this out so light can pass through the back and really highlight that crystal if you put it in a window or whatever. It would have been a whole lot easier to do that if I would have done it. Let me get that here so you can see what I'm doing. If I would have done it before I put it in the base here, because I could have just taken it to the bandsaw, cut it out real quick in a matter of about 35-40 seconds and been done to it. So now what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to drill a hole in it, go find my coping saw, put the blade through it, reattach it back to the saw, and then cut it out that way. This takes longer. It still works. Cutting across the grain of the wood here. And all I'm trying to do is just cut very lightly to cut the saw marks off. Because when you carve, you do not want to leave any facet of wood that you're going to be looking at untouched with a knife. Now, it'd be easier for me to sit here and pull it back this way, but what's up here? My stomach. No, we do not want to. We do not want to gouge the stomach out. What I'm doing here, I'm anchoring my thumb on the piece, pulling the knife back just a little bit. And the only thing I'm doing is closing my hand like that to get small bites in it. That's not working. Let's put it down this way. See, that's going into the grain and cutting it like I was talking about. Somebody might say, Oh, it'd just be easier to take a piece of sandpaper and sand this up. And faster. You get a palm sander or something and just roll it right down it. Yes, it would. But there's a reason it's called sandpaper. What's the cutting grit? It's used to be sand. I don't know what it is now. Aluminum oxide, whatever different ones are made out of. So once you sand a carving, you do not want to go back and put your good expensive knife on it, because it is going to leave grit embedded in the wood, and that's going to nick your blade up. I'm not happy about this corner right here, this inside corner. I've got to get in there and get that cleaned up like that. There's a little bit longer knife blade. Maybe I can get my other hand in here and use both of them to pull it up and guide to be a little safer. Put pressure on both sides. A little bit more control over it. And make it a little bit quicker. Now, if I did not have a glove on, I would not be holding the knife blade like that. But I'm grabbing it like that, so as long as my hand doesn't slip, if I weren't wearing a glove, it would not cut me, in theory. But all it takes is a little pressure going the wrong way, and you bleeding. And I don't care how careful you are, you're gonna bleed. You do that. It's just a matter of time. Boy, Beckwith Forge did a really good job on sharpening this knife blade up before he sent it out to me. He does such a good job. I mean, the handle's beautiful. I think they call that bird's eye maple or curly maple or something. And they call it stabilized. I'm not sure what stabilized means. I haven't looked it up. But what I take it to mean is it's not going to warp or crack because it's already totally dried out. I'm assuming that's what it means. Now these pieces here, I put them on there because I just want to round them off. I may get out a rotary tool to do that with, which will make it a whole lot easier because it's in a tight spot. You can see here where there's a groove in there. It's fairly deep. It's from the saw blade. I don't think I want to cut that out, but I might. I've got a little room here. Get down in there a little bit. Sometimes when you're cutting, splitting the fibers, it's easier to come across, make a slicing motion. That way you're actually slicing the wood instead of just forcing the knife through it. When you force the knife through it, you tend to put it underneath. I'm satisfied with that. You tend to put it underneath a lot of pressure. And that's when the wood's going to break, chip out, going to run with you. And your hand's going to be in the wrong place because somebody says something to you, or your phone buzzed, or your watch buzzed, or something. And you're not going to be paying attention where that knife blade's going. And next thing you know, you got to cut. All right, pretty much satisfied with that. And I think what I want to do, cut down here a little bit, just a little. Get a V cut in here. Well, it didn't work out. Do a different type of cut in there. Just to we've got a lot of cleanup in here. Just to get a line in between the towers. So what I'm going to do, this is a very steep V-tool that I'm going to use, and it needs to be touched up a little bit. I think I just touched this one up a few minutes ago. This one's a little bit bigger V-tool. I'll just go along here. Cut these lines out. To kind of mimic the brick. That's on the towers. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. Now I've got these towers to kind of sort of match those towers. That's going to sit in here behind them. And I'm going to come down here and do the same thing with this down here. You hear Carly and Reese out there playing. You've probably seen them running back behind me here. Hear them coming in here panting. Now this area, and this area, I have to round down and make rocks out of it. I want to get it in here jagged. So I'm probably going to get a rotary tool after it, because I'm going to notch out and glue a bunch of small little gemstones in here and crystals all in through here to make this look like rock. However, I think what I'm going to do is just clean up this a little bit. See how that chipped out right there? That lets me know that I'm going against the grain a little bit. The grain, obviously, if I'm going to go with it, I need to come down. You can see how that's rolling off in chips, and just instead of splitting out, you can also hear it on the knife where it's a little smoother. Sometimes you don't have a whole lot of choice. When you don't have a whole lot of choice, you will have to take smaller bites Make sure your knife is really sharp. So yeah, you can see how that's splitting in through there as it's coming up. Need to be careful as I get up here towards the top. Take smaller chips out because I don't want it to chip up like that. What I want to do is kind of round this corner out because I want to make it round, kind of sort of like a mountain, so to speak. I think what I'm going to do here, where's my big chisel at? What did I do with it? Oh, I left it right here. What I'm going to do right here is put that blade in there like that. And come down. Do the same thing across here, coming up at an angle. Because I definitely want to make it look like it's on a shelf, so to speak. And instead of poking that out with the chisel or V-gouge, is one you want to call it, come down there and cut it on an angle like that. It just chipped out, just like that's chipping, so I'm definitely going against the grain. So I have to be real careful here. Oh, I love that sound. And right there, I don't know if you caught that on the video or not, but using a longer knife and holding a piece like this, I felt that contact my hand like that a couple times. And if I didn't have a glove on, I'd have been bleeding. I would have signed this piece early in blood. Oh, you just heard that pop out. The grain changed directions on me right here. I was trying to get some scoop cuts in like I was doing up here to get a little texture in. That is not happening. I may have to cut that cross grain with a chisel. To get that smooth back out. Sorry if I'm getting off camera there. The camera's pointed away from me. I can't see what I'm doing. But I'm just trying to round these edges out some. And clean up these saw marks. So I think I'm gonna have to get out the rotary tool to finish doing what I need to do because of the confines of the knife hitting the stuff, and I don't want to mess the other stuff up. And I'll get into it a little bit deeper here with the rotary tool. Anyhow, that's it for right now. I don't know if I will put the rotary tool in a video or not because it's going to be a dusty mess. I'll figure that out. But anyhow, there's where I'm at today. Looking better. Thanks for watching, y'all.